Hello, everyone. So in my last video, I talked about external author EAT, and that's EAT with 2 E's. I'm just going to pretend it's EAT with 1 E, so I don't sound crazy when I'm talking. So I had a lot of really good questions that came in, and one of the ones is, how do you manufacture external author EAT if you have a fake author? And let's face it, some of our sites have fake authors, and it could be for a million reasons. There are millions of reasons why you may not want someone's name on your site, or you may need to use a different name. There's all kinds of reasonings, but how do you show external author EAT if your author isn't real or produced by AI? All right, so I pulled up a real author. Her name is Margaret Eby. She writes for, I don't know, foodandwine.com and a lot of the big food type websites. And what I want you to do is make your authors, whether they're real or fake, I want them to have the same online profile as Margaret Eby. So when I do a search for your author name, and I put author with the title, or I put your brand name of the site with their name, I would expect this profile to pop up in search. So what are you going to do for your authors? Well, you're going to do the same as what a real author would do. So you're going to have the same profile. If I were to Google your author's name, whether they're real or fake, with your brand name, I would expect a very similar profile to pop up, whether they're a real author or not. So let's take a look at Margaret Eby. Again, she is a real author. She does a lot of really good work for Food and Wine, a lot of the big food websites. I hope it was Food and Wine, but I don't want to go back and check. But if I were to do a search on your author name with your brand name, or with them just being an author, this is what I would expect to find. I would expect them to have a LinkedIn profile, because that's what real authors do. I would expect them to be mentioned on other sites or in other places. Like, look at this mention of Margaret Eby. Someone did an article saying how Margaret Eby became a food writer. So this person talked about Margaret Eby and how or why she became a food writer. They have some pictures of her in here. They have some of her tweets. They have her latest books. Whatever it is, it matches what Margaret Eby has said about herself. And this is on a different site that Margaret Eby did not post this. Somebody else posted it. Your author is going to have a Twitter account or some type of social media profile. Just about anybody has some type of a social media profile. And if it's not Twitter, perhaps it's Instagram. If it's not Instagram, perhaps it's Facebook. It's some sort of social media profile. And notice Margaret Eby in her description talks about what brands she has written for. And yes, Food and Wine was one of them. I had that correct. Same for Food 52. So you're going to make this profile for your author, and you're going to mention your brand and whatever brands they may have written for that are within your industry. You're going to maybe have a site that's margareteby.com, but in your author's name, talking about more about that person, where they came from, what they've done, the types of articles that they have written. And you're just going to showcase yourself like a one-page resume here, or several page resume, but it's a site about Margaret Eby. And when I Google her name, these are the things that comes up. So these are easy to set up for your author, and you want it to appear real. So you're going to post, you're going to talk about your brand, you're going to talk about your best articles you've ever written. You're going to go the whole 9 yards here. You're going to, if you want to go even further, make a site, a personal website for them, and have her featured in other articles. And you can do this with Haro links. So to get them featured on industry type websites, Haro links, have your author quoted about something within your industry. It's simple to do, and it helps with the SERPs when you search their name. So you can see that she's on LinkedIn, she's on Twitter, She's written for Forbes. She appeared in someone's Medium article. She has written books, and so her books will pop up. These are things that writers do that fake writers should be doing too. Now, once you have all of this set up to your LinkedIn, your Twitter, maybe even your website, wherever it is that you have set up, you're going to send a few blog comment backlinks to these areas. And your anchors are going to be your author's name with author or writer as an anchor, but also your author's name with your brand name of your site, because it needs to be, when I Google her name, your brand name would come up synonymously in the SERPs. So what do you need to build to have your author appear across the SERPs, whether they're real or fake? Now, mind you, today I'm talking about having a fake author, or maybe an author that you can't show their face, or you don't want to show their name for whatever your reasoning is. This is how you would build up external author EAT. This is also how you will build up external author EAT if you have a real writer. So a lot of times I consult on sites where they do have real writers are writing, and they're showing the current writer's name and face. However, they're not really known in the industry yet, because what if this is their first writing job and they don't really have a lot of external author EAT? So you're going to want to take a look whether your author is real or fake. You want to take a look at external author EAT, and you want to see where your authors come in to the mix. So is it easier to use an author that's really a writer that's already appeared across sites? Absolutely. Absolutely. They've already written, they're a real person, they've already set themselves up. So external author EAT would come really quickly. However, I do understand that not all of us can use authors where we can show their name or their face, or for whatever reasoning, and there's many reasons, you have to go about it a different way. Or maybe your author is brand new. Maybe your author is brand new and doesn't even have a digital footprint across the web yet. You know, maybe they're just starting out. They don't have a personal site. They don't have, I can imagine they might have a social media profile, but maybe they don't have any of these other things because they're just starting out. So you still have to work on external author EAT. And whether you're coming at it from a holistic point of view, or from a point of view where maybe it's not as holistic or as pristine as we would like to pretend that it is, but let's say it's a fake author, or let's say you can't use your author's name, you still need external author EAT. And this is how I personally would go about it. Now, I said I would send a few backlink blog comments to whatever it is that I've built, and that's just to help Google understand what those properties are about. And the anchors that I would use are their name plus your brand, their name plus author, all kinds of little combinations, so that when you do a search for your author's name plus your brand name, this is what's going to come up. When you do a search for your author's name just as a writer or an author, this is what would come up. And if the name is unique enough, you wouldn't have to combine author or writer with it. You see, Margaret Eby's name is unique enough that I can do a search just for that name, and she's in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's in the top, all 10 top results. It is Margaret Eby, the author that I just showed you. She shows up in all of the searches because her name is so original. Margaret Eby. I guess there's not a ton of Margaret Ebys out there, so hers pops first. You want to keep this in mind when you're creating an author name. And that little tidbit came at the end of this video, so you might miss it. Pick an author name that there are not hundreds of them already. There's just 1 or 2, and it's easy for you to float to the top. And with that, I'm going to end this video for today. But if you have any questions, ask them in the comment section and I'll create a video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.